And we are live on Facebook. Welcome everyone to this next generation, fourth generation generative conversation on living spiritually. And this week we have Maria Kanderaki and Lynn Robinson, who will be entertaining you, informing you, sharing their insights and their love and how we do it, how we live spiritually. As you know, this is a fourth generation initiative. And what we want is to bring different views of spirituality so we can enrich our maps of the world. And also, it's a way to get the word out because our intention is to create cells around the world where we can all dive into this field of living spirituality, how we can develop more spiritual intelligence. So as people are adding on, we ask them to close their cameras so that we can have just Lynn and Maria present for this conversation. So I thank you for being there, girls, and I'm going to leave it to you to take on this conversation, and we'll be enjoying what you have to share with us. So take care, girls.
Thank you. Thanks, Colette. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you so much.
So Maria, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm Lynn Robinson, for those of you who don't know me. And I'm here with the beautiful Maria, who is going to share some of her insights and wisdom around spirituality. So thank you again for joining us. So Maria,
yes,
can you
Lynn,
tell people a little bit about yourself, bio, and so they can get a sense of who you are and what you've done?
With pleasure. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to talk with you. I want to say that what you have created in the fourth generation and talking about spirituality in the middle of this pandemic is creating a healthy space for everybody to keep being creative and focusing on life instead of the problems of life. So thank you for that. And I was thinking a couple of days ago that we spoke as I was preparing for this talk. My grandfather Socrates from ancient Greece, who was saying that I know one thing that I know nothing. So being humble about what I'm about to say in the frame of what Socrates used to say, that I'm sharing this, being humble, that I'm just exploring it myself. Spirituality is a topic that I haven't managed to learn. I'm in the process. I'm a friend of spirituality and I'm still learning. And that has brought me to many different paths in life. I started as a student and I did a bachelor degree in business administration in the university in Athens. After that, that brought me to United States, where I did a master's degree in hospitality management. And that was the time that I decided that I don't want to spend my life in economics because I will never be a good economist, as I didn't love it. But I had a childhood dream about psychology. So then I started a second circle of education, doing another graduate degree on psychology and human resources, and coming back to Crete, Greece, where I live. And I did 4 years on psychotherapy, family psychotherapy, and another 6 years on existential psychotherapy. And at the same time, I was doing my trainings on NLP, going all the levels and having the pleasure of being your classmate as a master NLP trainer the previous summer in NLP University in California. So now I live in Crete, where I work as a family therapist and an NLP trainer.
Wonderful. Well, everyone is very fortunate to have you there working with them. Thank you. And so I just wonder if you could share a little bit about what spirituality is to you. What does that mean to you in your life?
You know, I come from a little country that 95% of the population is Greek Orthodox. So in my country, spirituality is identified almost the same with religion. But for me, it is that, but it's not just that. It's a little bit more than that. I perceive spirituality as something greater than me, for sure. Something that is beyond me, above me, greater than me. Something that there was there before me and that it will still be there after me. And Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist from Vienna, has written in his books In Search of Meaning that it's as if we're doing an embroiderment, you know, knitting an embroiderment. If you see the upper level, you see different view than if you look underneath. And he says that we see the underneath side of the embroiderment. So sometimes we don't understand things that happen in our lives. That doesn't mean that what is greater than us, spirituality, doesn't have a better view than we do. So spirituality for me is that I understand there is something greater than me, and I don't have the whole idea of that. So I can only trust and yes, trust. And as Einstein used to say, I trust that universe, it's a safe place for me.
Very nice. And so do you feel that you've always been spiritual, or has there been a moment in your life when you were moved to really exercise your trust in any way?
No, I was not spiritual at all. In my youth and in my college years, I was not. And I was a usual college student, worrying about how my hairdo was looking and whether my new pair of jeans will fit me, and you know, where we're gonna go to cinema or party next time. And it was that time that I finished my master's degree in the United States that I had to do my practicum in order to get my master's degree. And I was fortunate and blessed enough for an opportunity to appear for me and do my practicum in the Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, which is a camp, a children's camp that Paul Newman has established for children with cancer and AIDS. So I worked there for 3 months, and it was the happiest summer of my life. Even though I was working with children with cancer, and the second year I went again, and some of the children didn't make it the second year. Even though that some of the children had died, I had the opportunity to experience what spirituality is, how a person can draw pleasure and gratitude for life beyond cancer, beyond chemo, beyond the unfair diagnosis. How a 7-year-old child will tell me that I have leukemia since I was 2. What's wrong with your arm? I say, nothing is wrong with my arm. So at that time, at the age of 25, I realized that my health, it's not my right to have. It's my gift to have, because I could have been diagnosed with cancer as well. Up until that time, I had the ego of thinking that I control what's happening in my life. So if I'm healthy and if I don't smoke, I will be healthy until the end of my life. And there, it was like an aha moment, a defining moment in my life, that what does a 2-year-old child done to herself to have leukemia, or a 14-year-old girl to have brain tumor, and then showing me that, you know, my hair have been destroyed here due to radiation, and I'm not as smart as used to be. So then I realized that what it's given to me. It's a gift. So I have to be grateful and I have to honor that. And the best way to honor that is by doing the job I love. And since I don't love economics, it will be a waste of time. It wasn't an easy decision because, I come from a agricultural family that my parents are farmers and hardworking people. And working in the farm to send me money in Athens and in the United States to support me through my studies, it was not easy. It was hard working money. So imagine me telling my father that after 7 years of paying me and supporting me full time, that I now don't want to be an economist. I had guilt. But then I said, okay, it's the 7 years or the next 37 years that I'm going to have to be working. So what I'm going to decide. And I decided the second. And another time that was a defining moment for me that turned me into spirituality, it was my NLP trainer, where in Athens, where I learned NLP, but not just NLP. He was a spiritual person. He was a spiritual person, not just in his teachings and preachings, but he was able to walk the talk. He was diagnosed at the age of 56 with liver cancer. He had the prediction of living 6 months. He managed to live 18 months. And at the end, the last months, he will talk to me and say, the end will come for everybody eventually. And that's okay. And that's okay. So he was a spiritual person until the very last day of his life. The last word he spoke was, I love you all. And then he fell into coma and the next day he died. So as we say, the presupposition we say in NLP, if what we aim to do, even one person has done it, then we can do it. So he's an inspiration for me, even though he has died since 2015.
So you've been very fortunate in the people that you've met and the experiences you've had. So how have you taken these gifts that you've received, that you've shared? How have you taken those into your life? How has this impacted you working with your clients and the way you live life every day? Tell me about that.
It has helped me a lot because I'm thinking, how can I apply that wisdom and that gift that I've been given from these encounters and these trainers? Because I believe that a trainer or a teacher or a mentor isn't limited within a classroom. We can find teachings everywhere. So I believe that honoring these people and these gifts is to apply them in my life, or at least try to. I cannot say that I've been as spiritual as my NLP trainer was, but I have this aim and I'm trying to go there. Sometimes I'm running, sometimes I walk, sometimes I crawl to get there. It's not easy. It has given me the chance to be humble. When people come with great tragedies, mm-hmm. I'm humble because that's not only what it is. I perceive, as a family therapist, I have the opportunity and the great honor of people coming and trusting me with their life's issues. Like last night, there was a couple in a session that during my session, it was decided among themselves that they're going to go to a divorce. Having a spiritual sense, I know that that's not what their life is depending upon. Like life doesn't end after a divorce. So even though right now they are in a big pain and grief, I know there is something more after that. So that is helping me to help others. It's like it has given me the strength to hold what they are bringing me in a humble strength. I don't know, I'm trying, and thank you for putting up with my Greek English accent. I'm trying to translate my Greek thoughts into English words, and that takes me some time.
You're doing absolutely amazing. I wish I could speak Greek as well as you speak English. maybe we'll swap.
Yes. I volunteered to be your Greek tutor.
Yay, okay.
But then you're gonna have to come and do a practicum here.
Oh, darn. So thank you again for everything you're sharing. And I just wanted to find out your views on spiritual intelligence. So a lot of people are aware of spiritual intelligence, and I wonder what that means to you. What does that mean to you?
Okay, I will say two examples about that. Viktor Frankl, in his book, also, he says that there was this time that after being in one concentration camp for a couple of years and suffering tremendously, there was this announcement that a few trucks will come and pick some of the inmates to take them somewhere else. So he lined up because he was thinking that nowhere could be as bad as it is this concentration camp. Anything else would be a little bit better. And as he was lining up and the trucks were filled with people and driving away, he was the last one to be stopped, and the last truck left without taking him. And he felt unfair, darn, I didn't get it. That was the last one to get. Later on, they found out that these trucks, they were going straight to the ovens, people being executed and burned. So that is spiritual intelligence. I don't know if it was God, if it was Buddha, if it was Allah, I don't know. There was something there that protected him from happening that. And another example is from the first year that I opened my office as a new family therapist. I get this 65-year-old lady that she had lost her 35-year-old son, who was a firefighter, and he had burned alive during a fire. And 1 year later, as if she went through 1 year in a trance, and 1 year later that they were preparing his memorial day, as if she woke up and said, I'm preparing a memorial for my son while I was supposed to be preparing his wedding, because the memorial was at the same time, in the same period as his pre-scheduled wedding. And then it was that she collapsed, and her younger son brought her to me. And I didn't know, it was my first year of my practice. That was too serious, too big, I don't know, it was bigger than me. How can you help someone who, it's not as if that son had a cancer and they tried to save him and they didn't. He burned alive, and she was not able to say goodbye to him because they brought him in a bag, with a zipper on. So I asked her, I think it was on the second or third session, I asked her, why wouldn't you die? Why wouldn't you commit suicide? And she said, because I could never give that pain to my other son. And I could never give my soul to devil. So I said, okay, her values and her mission is God, spirituality, and her family. Okay, this is a solid ground to start working on. So that's spiritual intelligence for me. Her spiritual intelligence protected her from committing suicide in a moment where the suffering of being alive was more than the pain of death. And that spiritual intelligence protected her and protected the rest of the family.
Thank you. And that kind of leads me to the place of, in fourth generation, we are exploring source.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, through all your stories and your life experiences, first off, what is source to you? And secondly, how do you access it? And, you know, do you have a vision of it, or is there a gesture that allows you to connect with source? Or can you share a little bit about your perspective on connecting with source?
Okay.
Or what source is to you?
My other teacher, where I learned existential psychotherapy, I was trained for that. He says that there is so much beauty around us in the world to be by chance. So there must be a greater source. And about connecting with that source, I had enjoyed and been inspired so much from a similar conversation like ours today that Colette and Alicia from Pakistan, they had a few weeks ago. And Alicia was mentioning that her mother had passed away shortly before that. And she said that after her mother died, she could feel her around her. She could feel her presence every day or whenever she needed her. So that's connection with the source. Connection with the source is every time that things come better than you could hope for. And when I say better, I mean that sometimes a divorce, as I said before, in long term, it could be a gift. Mm-hmm. A cancer diagnosis in the long term could be a gift. And in my religion, they say that we have guardian angels, and because they cannot present themselves to us, they present themselves to us through other people. So for instance, 15 years ago that I had a bronchitis, you know, I was out of breath and coughing a lot for more than a week. And I went to my doctor, and the doctor, in order, you know, to check my lungs, he had to pull up my shirt. And he said, "Oh, Maria, you have a mole on your back." I said, "Yeah, I've been told." My nieces in the beach in the summer, they will say, "Oh, auntie, you have a mole on your back." I say, "Okay, so what?" And the doctor said, "No, you have to have it checked." So long story short, I went to check it out, and we had it in an emergency small surgery to take it off. And biopsy showed that it was in a pre-cancer state. So had I leave it for another summer, sunbathing in the Greek, under the Greek sun, it will be melanoma. So that doctor was the presence of the source in my life. That's how I perceive it.
And so with that, is there ever a time when you feel that you yourself have to call on that source? Perhaps that guardian angel isn't present at the moment, but something is happening in your life where you need to make the connection. And I'm wondering, do you feel you can? Is there a way or a ritual or something that you do personally?
You know, there are times that my ego takes over and I have the sense that I control everything in my life. And the moments that I feel that I have control of my life and of my work and of my relationships, and I have everything perfectly planned, there will come, you know, a slap and say, "Hey, wake up and smell the coffee." And not just, you know, I had prepared the perfect academic year and I had organized very well my NLP trainings and my courses and my sessions. And then the pandemic comes, and since November 7th, we're closed, everything in Greece. I don't mean just that, because that didn't happen only to me, but I mean other things as well. You know, from planning a perfect trip to Paris with an ex-boyfriend, and there was rainy fog day in Crete in early September, so that I will have to miss the flight, you know. It's like, oh. So my ego makes me very often to forget the source and to distract me from the spiritual path, only to find myself in a humble place that I will have to connect again, that I will have to ask for help again, to remind myself that there is something greater than me and I cannot control everything, and I sometimes have to trust and so that safe other thing, okay? And that I don't look on the top of the embroiderment, I see the underneath. So that's what I do. And believe me, there are sometimes it's very often that happens. The practices you said is that about 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to attend a workshop in Madrid with a Buddhism Lama from North India, that he used to be an entrepreneur from Australia, but he had become a Lama for 25 years. And we were practicing silence every day, like every afternoon after dinner, the silence will start until the next morning after the meditation and after breakfast. So I learned to embrace silence, and I learned that silence can speak a lot and give you answers. And I have found that in those silent moments, great inspiration and ideas and connections happen and answers come. And I'm a person that, you know, I did my NLP trainers training in 2009 in California. And right after that, my television broke. And I just decided not to buy a new one. So I don't have a television. And after the Buddhism workshop, I don't open the radio while I'm driving. And I take everyday walks in nature. We're fortunate enough to be close to the beach. And during that silence, it's a good opportunity to connect. It's easier for me to connect.
Yes. And
to meditate and to connect.
And I think that you made a really important point when you said that you made a decision not to watch the TV or listen to the radio, and to be in nature and be with your own thoughts, which allows spirit to come into you or source to come into you. Whereas right now, I think people, they tend, or many people are tending to listen to all of the news, and it doesn't give them that space to allow that to come in. What are your thoughts on that? You started the beginning of this conversation by really acknowledging this space to look at things differently. And so, you know, in terms of the pandemic and where people focus their attention, do you have any thoughts on that that you can share with us?
You know, Lynn, that in NLP we say energy flows where attention goes. So I will say that if I was a doctor or a nurse in the ICU, I will be working double shifts to help the sick people, or my fellow Cretan men and women. But now I'm not. So the best thing I can do is to protect myself and to protect my family if I can help someone else. So protecting myself means to read the news like once a week and not watch all the news every night, because we know that some things, it's out of our control. And what I mean is that if I sit down and listen to the news, and especially the pandemic in past few weeks in Greece, we have the Me Too movement, you know, mm-hmm. the sexual harassment and movement in the theater and in the movies and industry in Greece. So everybody's talking who got raped and how many years later came to confess, etc. That stops the neuro regeneration for 42 hours. So I deprive myself from the tools to be creative and to help other people if I watch the news, but I cannot do anything. If there was something that I can do, I should be learning, but I cannot do anything. That's out of my control.
Mm-hmm. And again, you know, if we do believe in connecting to source and there being something greater, then perhaps one of the things that's most important is what you're sharing, in that it then allows you to be in a place energetically. So we know now that energy is measurable and that our thoughts do impact those around us. So perhaps again, people may not have recognized that in order to help, it is about really keeping your thoughts as pure and loving as possible.
Exactly. And if I do it, perhaps another person might be inspired by me. And that, you know, it's like a domino effect. So I cannot help stopping the pandemic beyond my personal responsibility, but I can help create an antidote on positive energy, just like I said the fourth generation is doing.
So do you see a difference, or what would you say would be the biggest difference between, say, third generation and fourth generation NLP? Do you see a difference, or how do you look at that?
I think that it is, the third generation was a little bit more tangible, mm-hmm. More tangible, while the fourth generation invites and expands. It is the intelligence, a collective intelligence of the system, but it's not just that. It's something more than that. It's like we understand that if we are four people, the intelligence, it is the sum of my intelligence, your intelligence, Colette's intelligence, but it is something above us. So we have to connect with that. And I heard a couple of weeks ago an interview, because now that the gyms, everything is closed, the only way to exercise a little bit is walking. So in my morning walks, I put on some lectures on YouTube to keep me company, and that way I walk farther. So I was walking and listening to an Oprah Winfrey Super Soul Sundays that he has as a show, and there was Marianne
Williamson.
Yes. Yes, thank you. We spoke about her the other day.
Yes, yeah.
And she said that it's as if for each person, for me, there is a divine plan up there in the server up there. But if I'm not ready and prepared to download it, it's going to remain a plan up there in the server. So I have to clean up my life. I have to get ready to prepare the circumstances. So that connection and that understanding, that's the fourth generation for me. So there is the potential, and here we create the channel, we create the opportunity for that potential for everyone who is willing to do the downloading.
Very nice. And so, is there anything that you do? Do you have practices that you put in place every day to stay connected? Anything you can share with our audience? Or also, if you do anything different now with the pandemic than you would have? So can you kind of share a little bit about your daily practices?
Again, my NLP trainer used to say, Maria Kanderaki from Crete, the diversions, the destructions that we face every day, they meant to pull us away from our center. And we don't have many opportunities to meet up with other people and to create and generate discussions to bring us back in our center. So it is mandatory for us. It serves us best if we take the time either to listen to a good lecture or to take the time to read quality books every day. So for me, waking up and having my hot cup of coffee in the morning, and that's why I enjoy waking up early and do my reading. It's like my meditation, it's my time. And then taking my morning walk. And when the gyms were open, I was going swimming. In Crete, we're blessed to have spring or summertime, like 9 months a year. And that personal time was giving me the practice to get back in my center and to align myself, my past, my present, and my mission in the future, and also what it's been called from me, my calling, something beyond me, something greater than me. And when the pandemic started, as I told you, I felt that if I was a doctor, I would be putting double shifts in the hospital. Now that I am not, and I'm in the health, the psychotherapy section, I can help on that. So we created a series of lectures where I invited colleagues from other parts, either from Crete or from other parts of the country. And we were holding like every Sunday afternoon a lecture open to the audience. And in the second lockdown, now in Christmas, I invited the great people who trust me and come in my NLP lectures, in my NLP seminars. We have great people, amazing human beings. And they came, and every Sunday afternoon, we created a community where we will join and discuss something enlightful and not problems. And even, I have to say here that even problems, or what could be considered a problem, if we see it from the gratitude space or from the gratefulness side, becomes a gift. Like I have found myself, when I was a student, as I said, in the children's camp, in the second year, I got the chicken pox. So me getting the chicken pox at the age of 26, 27, I was like, I had the leprosy. And I remember laying in bed with fever and all these spots pouring liquid out of my skin and feeling grateful. I said, thank you, God. I have something which in 2 weeks or in 1 month, it will be over. So thank you for giving me this. I wish the children in camp could say the same. I remember going to the banks a few years ago, and I had to pay my car insurance, my mortgage, my annual taxes, my rent. And I had to pay, I don't know how many €1,000. And I got out of the last payment and I said, thank you, God. First of all, thank you that I had the money to pay my obligations. And thank you that I pay my obligations to provide me quality of life, and I didn't pay for medical expenses. So gratefulness is something that helps me also.
Beautiful. And again, that of course brings you into your heart when you're grateful. So you've shared so many wonderful stories and experiences for you. And I'm just wondering, is there anything else that has really impacted your life that you would like to share with us, and something that has made a difference in your life, moved you in a different direction, or taught you something about life beyond what you've shared so far?
Yes, you know, in systemic psychotherapy, we say that what we do, we inherit from many generations ago. And that's why in the first session as a systemic psychotherapist, I will have to ask questions about 3 generations ago. So I understand the impact of ancestors and of history to the design of our character and our personality. So in 2013, in the summer, I decided with the help of my NLP trainer at the time to read Greek history. You know, this year, on March 25th, we celebrate the 200 years of the Independence Day of Greece. It was the time that the independence war started, and we many years later we became an independent nation after being occupied for 400 years from the Ottomans. So it's a big year this year in Greece, celebrating, commemorating that anniversary. In 2013, I read the Greek history, like from 1,000 years ago. And I learned that 100 years prior to the revolution that led to the Greek independence, the Greeks had managed to increase their income so that they could build churches and schools and send Greek youngsters to Paris, to Vienna, to Russia, to study in the universities. So I understood that prior to getting the guns, they were reading. Before fighting, they had increased the education. They opened the mind before holding a gun. So I realized that the best, and at that time, it was in the middle of economic crisis in Greece. You know, we had a 10-year, and we still do, but that was the peak of the economic crisis in Greece, and we almost got out of Eurozone. I understood that the best fight, it's not to be an economist at that time, but it was to work towards the mentality of the people, the spirituality of the people, the education of the people, the emotional intelligence of the people. And at that time, I was a civil servant working in the Ministry of Insurance and was a manager for the Crete section. And I had a very good salary. And all my taxes and health insurance, they were paid. And I decided at that time that I will quit my job because my calling was in another direction, to help people on their emotional intelligence. And by doing that, I continue the long years of history of my country.
Beautiful, thank you. So, is there one last thing beyond all this wonderful wisdom that you've shared with us? Is there one last thing that you would like to leave our audience with in terms of living a spiritual life? Is there any words of wisdom that you can leave them with? And then we'll see if we have any questions.
I don't know if they are words of wisdom. They are my thoughts. So it has helped me, and I wish if it could help at least one person. By gratitude, as I say, when we say, thank you, Source, for what I am, for what I have, and then we fill in the blanks. I have this. And I don't mean thank you for having a house, yes, but thank you for having a sound mind. Thank you for having my health. And thank you for having the ability to communicate well. So I give thanks for my gifts, for my talents, for my virtues, for my capabilities. And then I think, if those are my talents and my gifts, that I've been given from somewhere, how can I serve that higher purpose by passing forward? Like, okay, I'm going to put my talents into use to provide for myself. I have to pay my rent. But after that, how can I put it as a gift and pass it forward to others? How can I be of greater use to others? And, also the Buddhists say that when you give it forward, eventually it's going to come back to you. But we're not doing it for that. We're not doing it in purpose of getting it back. No, but we might get it, for instance, I might do something good and then it's going to go circles and something good is going to end up for my mom or for my niece. Okay, or for someone else. And that's a gift too. And by doing that, we are, we're rich. I read the other day on Facebook that if you and me meet up in a street and I have a book and you have a book and I give you my book and you give me your book, each one is going to walk away with one book. But if we meet and I have an idea and you have an idea and I give you my idea and you give me your idea, then I'm going to walk away with 2 ideas and you're going to walk away with 2 ideas. So that's the way we become richer. Okay. And we have printed in my NLP Institute a bookmark, okay, that I give with fishes. Okay, it's all Greek, so I'm gonna read it from the original. It's a poem from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it says, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of the intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the beauty in others, to leave the world a little better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know that even one life has breathed easier because you lived here. That is to have succeeded in life. So that is spirituality for me. To know that I might not be able to make a dent in the universe, as Stephen Jobs used to say, but I made an impact. It might be in one person. That's fine too. That's perfectly okay. Because, how can we distinguish if Mother Teresa has helped hundreds of children and another mother in Quebec, Canada, has helped one handicapped child to be raised? Who can value that? How can you say that, for instance, I don't know, we have George Papanikolaou from Greece, who did the test, the PAP test, that is a diagnosis for uterus cancer, and has helped millions of women to detect on early stage uterus cancer. Okay, he did that and he didn't have children. He was dedicated to his science and managed to do that. How can you say that a family doctor in a rural village in Crete, who has helped so many elders, doesn't worth as much? Who's going to do the equivalence? How do they do in companies, input and output, expenses and income, and then they decide the revenue? It's not, in spirituality, it doesn't count like that.
Well, thank you so much for everything you shared. As you know, you and I could sit and chat for a very long time, as we often do. So I thank you for coming on Fourth Generation on the Generative Conversations. And what I'd like to do is, just before we sign off, find out if anyone who is here online, if they have any questions for you that they would like to ask. So the people that are on Zoom, if you'd like to open your cameras and your microphones, if you have anything to share or anything to ask of Maria before we say goodbye. Well, we have a silent crew. So I'm going to assume there are no questions. You have filled them up with your beautiful stories and your beautiful wisdom and spiritual intelligence. So that will lead me to, and I see he's with us on board here, to talk a little bit about next week. And Colette will be on Generative Conversations next week with Jonathan Brooks. And they will, I'm sure, also have a very inspiring conversation that we'll all want to attend. And so thank you, Jonathan, for being here now. And thank you for next week already. And for anyone else who is listening or will listen in the future on the Facebook Live page, if you would like to be a part of Fourth Generation, if you would like more information about Fourth Generation, then it's best to contact us at info@fourthgeneration.com. And from there, maybe share a little bit about your interest, and let's just see how we can create this community and really make it, I don't want to say a working community, but really a collective that we put our energy together and can make that difference together. So please let us know if you would love to join us, because we would love to have you. And we just see this growing and growing. And so again, thank you so much, Maria, for being with us today. And
I would like to thank you for inviting me. And also I want to tell you that I have had the opportunity and the gift to meet both of you, Colette and you, in the University of an NLP University in Santa Cruz in 2019, in the time that we were able to travel. Yes. and cross the Atlantic. I hope that we will be able to do that again soon.
Yes.
Thank you for creating the space for this to exist. It's really, really like a fresh breeze is coming in a smoking room, especially this period. You create the space for healthy creativity. And I appreciate that. I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Good. Well, we'll probably call on you in the future as well to participate with whatever we have in store. We're creating things for the future. So if you have any ideas too on how this can grow and we can make it more than just us, the few that at this moment are coming together, we welcome you.
I thank you for that, and I accept it in advance. Thank you so much. It's an honor for me. Thank you. Thank you, Colette, for creating this. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Maria. I wasn't going to be here, but actually just being in the field helped my body heal. So I had a pinched nerve, and I had told Maria and Lynn that I probably wouldn't be there at the end of the call, but much better than watching Netflix or the news. and the energy and the spirit flow. So my sciatica is much better right now. So I'm happy to come back, pop up. And it was a wonderful call. And as you're saying, Maria, this is a calling. Fourth Generation is a calling beyond us, beyond me, beyond the collective. It's something that's created together. So I like that we can be generative together and share these ideas to create the next steps. We have full of ideas, and we're excited to share them with you on how it's going to unfold. But we're always open to hear people from the collective.
You know, Colette, you reminded me that in the Greek Orthodox religion, the people who who paint the saints' faces, you know, Jesus and Virgin Mary, etc., then you will see signed at the end, not signed like Maria Kanderaki, but they will sign us by hand of Maria Kanderaki, which means by the hand of Maria Kanderaki, which means I'm just the channel for this inspiration and this divine work to happen. So sometimes creating the channel, it's a great thing.
Beautiful, by the hand. So we'll all be writing now our signature,
Yes,
by the hand of Lynn, of Maria, of Jonathan.
Exactly.
Yes.
So thank you very much. There's beautiful
so
comments on the Facebook. I can just share with you a few words from Livio, who says, perfectly said and felt everything that you shared, Lynn and Maria. Maria, it is super exponential feeling, all you express in the words with your feelings of all your being, excellent flow, wonderful blessings. And there's a lots of love that is being sent from everyone to you, Maria. We have
Thank you very much.
India who are there, and Anil,
of course,
and Yanis. So a lot of beautiful comments, but no specific questions unless there are people here with us that wanted to ask one last question. If not, we close for today.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Marcel.
Voila. So
thank you, guys.
For today. Thank you so much, Lynn, for the beautiful interview. And as it's mentioned, beautiful flow between you two. And we'll be having you back for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have
a nice evening. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care. Many blessings to you all.
Bye.